Not the recording.
Okay, I'm back in progress again. Okay. Did you know starting the new year in January was done to honor the god Janus, for whom the month was named January, Janus, whatever. And Janus had two faces. He was able to look back into the past and forward into the future simultaneously. And yeah, so anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting to know. Whatever.
What is this, like a mythology?
Yeah, I guess it was. Yeah, there were a few others. Smithsonian Magazine also wrote, "What does Happy New Year's even really mean?" And he starts off talking about the condolence letter Albert Einstein wrote to the family of an old friend, Michel Basso, who died a few weeks before Einstein's own death. And this is not important. For us who are convinced physicists, this is what he wrote. This is not important. What he's saying, you died, it's not important for us who are convinced physicists. The destination between past, present, and future is only an illusion, however persistent. The article goes on talking about pre-Socrates philosopher challenging change doesn't exist. Change does not exist. He ends the article saying, time is real, but change doesn't exist. So who knows? I know what it means to grow older, no matter what. He wished us Happy New Year. I have no idea what that means, but I wrote it down and I thought it was something really kind of interesting, but now I'm looking at it and I'm totally confused. I'm like, what's that about? Anyway.
Okay, note to self. Pass it to me before we do this, Laura.
But in the middle of this, I will have a few little sweet quotes that we'll get to think, ponder, to look out that, very interesting. But I guess my point is that most people think of, oh, it's New Year's, we got to do something, we have to, I don't know, eat better, or, we got to promise that we're going to do things, where in actuality, we should do things in a different way, where we should look at it as a growth, as a growing, not a growth like a cancer, but as a moment of spiritual growing,
I'd like to share something too. This past week, this is typical for me. I had this young man who's going through something, be like in dire need. Okay. And my spirit was heavy about this. Like I felt this burden, and I should not have gotten involved, and I kind of like didn't want to get involved, but I did want to reach out and encourage this person. So I did. And as I did, it's so easy. Our nature, most of us, our nature is like, oh, well, you need help. What can I do? What do you need? I got it. I'll give it to you. That's it. And but it was funny because when I was entertaining those thoughts, I felt all like burdened. I didn't feel good. It was like I felt like my peace was leaking out of me. Okay, that's how I had described it. So I was like, oh wow, all right. So I was feeling like the Holy Spirit that lives in me didn't want me to get involved in this situation. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to listen to this, because later on that day, I was reading a book, and in the book, it was talking about keeping your peace. And they said, one of the ways you lose your peace, okay, is when you take on somebody else's burden, and it's not meant to be yours. It's not your assignment, and it's not meant to be yours. And we, because we care about people, we tend to like, jump on people's problems. Okay. But in this case, I was kind of happy, because that's my normal self, is I would jump into things, and then I would have this like anxiety over it, whether I'm doing this, you know, is this a good thing or not? So anyway, in this situation, I decided not to help this person in the way that he wanted to be helped. And I was going about my day and I was fine and I had my peace. My peace was back. Okay. So then at night, God was talking to me in my dreams. And one of the things he said was, you know, have this person contact this person from Hope House. It's like a shelter, and as an avenue to help this person, you know. And I said, wow, I said, that actually is a good idea, you know. So I kind of related. But the next day while I was working and driving, one of my stops happened to be, I pull in and it is Hope House facility. And I was like, this is crazy. So I was like, wow, God, you're really making a point here, you know? So anyway, this thing progressed and for like 3 days, you know, and I have, you know, God's been speaking to me, giving me things to share with this person. And just the whole fact of, again, like what you're saying, it's a new year. And what are we focusing on? And, you know, why is it, you know, Happy New Year? What does that mean? You know, and I'm coming at it from a God perspective because my focus has been pursuing God, pursuing, you know, my one goal is to seek God, and all will be given to you. So why not? You know, so that's where my pursuit is. And I'm excited because I'm at a place where the seeking has bearing fruit, because I'm actually hearing and I'm staying in God's will. You know, if you're out of God's will, that's when I was leaking my peace, because God didn't want me to do that, you know, to do that situation. It was not my assignment. And so when, you know, being careful to stay in God's will. And how do you do that? You got to keep checking in, you know, God, do you want me to do this? Should I be doing that? Should I be stepping on the, you know, going over here? Even if it looks good, it doesn't mean that God is asked you to do it, you know? So it's given me wisdom in this area. So I'm actually looking forward to a new year, because I also, last night, I got this real heaviness about salvation. And it's like, because a lot of Christians are running around saying, oh, I want the spiritual gifts. I want to heal. I want to do miracles. You know, I want to raise the dead. And God's like, yeah, you know, the most important thing is I want people to know what, you know, why they're in torment and how to battle the enemy and who actually battles the enemy, you know, so how to keep your peace intact, you know. So this has really been blessing me in a way where, you know, I'm up at like 3 a.m. and God's like saying, put this on my Facebook page, you know, because it's somebody out there that needs to hear whatever it is that he has to say, you know. So it's been kind of exciting time for me, you know.
Sounds that way.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I guess for me, I've just been really, you know, feeling that often things are placed upon us just based on the calendar, you know. I mean, you go through, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and they all happen so quickly together. And in some cases, I feel like I don't have the time to really absorb it all, to really, I guess, experience, to savor the moment of, you know, what I'm going through. And, you know, with watching family members open up their gifts, and, you know, so you know, for my thing, it's kind of like being in the present. But sometimes I kind of feel like, you know, there are certain things that are like exercises of utility, and I'm thinking, you know, am I just doing this because I'm supposed to do this, or You know, but I don't want to, I love traditions. You know, there are those things that I do love, but, you know, it's kind of like the next step, you know, we go from here, and then we got Valentine's Day coming up, you know. So, you know, it's always like, okay, there's an obligation now. Now I gotta, you know,
Come up with something. You got to come up with something,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And I'm kind of thinking that in some cases, I'd like to kind of change some of that around, so we're not feeling, you know,
Overwhelmed.
like we're obligated to give for certain, you know, holidays. Like you got to get out those cards for Christmas, you know, and thank God nowadays, you know, you don't look at your popularity based on how many cards, you know, paper cards you get, you know. I thought, you know, if we get 5 cards, it's like woohoo, you know. And but I do love my Christmas tree. You know, I love the lights. My Christmas tree is still up.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, we gotta figure out when to take it down, but it'll be soon, I guess.
You know what I love what you said though, because I had this experience too for the first time. Because personally, I hate the gift giving part of it. Okay, and not like I'm a bah humbug person, but I just, you know, I just would rather just bypass the whole thing and, let everyone just go out and get what they want and just not have to do it with this wrapping and opening and, because it may feel different when my kids were young, but my kids are older, youngest is 24. So for me, I really, like this year was the first year that I said to my crew, I said, listen, I said, I'm not buying on my own because I mess up. I have very weird taste. So, you guys gonna buy your gifts or you're not gonna have gifts. And basically Patrick was like the only one who did. James and Brittany wanted one thing that was expensive. So, and one of them didn't show up. So James had nothing to open up Christmas morning. But I was like, it was expensive. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do filler. I'm just like, they're old enough, 29 years old, he's old enough, he can, so Christmas morning opening up the gifts was lame for us this year. Okay. But honestly, I was kind of okay with it, it's like we're adults and, I'm like, I wish we could almost, I wish we could almost bypass that and do something different, like make a new tradition of like, go feed the homeless breakfast in the morning on Christmas Day. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be, that would be really amazing. And
actually, that's a great idea. And that just came to me. I might do that next year,
Yeah.
I do like that too. And even Valentine's Day, Ed and I do not we don't do gifts because if I want something, I buy it. If he wants something, he buys it.
Yeah.
We don't have this, like I gotta wait. And then we just don't, it's not even a thrill for me, and I don't think it is for him either, It's like so much excess. Trust me, I don't need another whatever,
Right. No, so yeah. So it's again, it's kind of like filling your soul with things that make you feel reaching out and helping those, like you said, those who are in need, or helping those, I mean, there's so many people out there that are lonely that sometimes they just want to talk to someone. And unfortunately right now with the new COVID Omicron, that makes it a little difficult. And sometimes I go,
you know what made our Christmas too this year too, because of sickness, somebody got exposed to COVID. They didn't get it, nobody got it in my family, but there was that what if. So normally we have like 25 people, all like Ed's family comes, and nobody came. Everybody was afraid of COVID, so they didn't come except for Ed's father. But I had invited 2 people to come who had no place to go, so it was great. It actually was a small gathering, but it was like, I was really happy. I had a great time, with the people that we invited, but yeah, it was nice because it was unexpected. Somebody came, they made a beautiful cheesecake. It was delicious.
Wow.
They were engaging, you know, talking to everybody and, you know, fun. And so it really was, you know, even though it was totally not the typical, it was, you know, it was happy.
Yeah, yeah. I think sometimes too, when say the group is smaller, it can be more personal, that you can have you know, deeper conversations and
Mhm.
have to you know,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
explore you know, these little superficial conversations, which a lot of times I'm not, you know, too excited about. But yeah, but you know, I think for New Year's too, it's looking back. You know, you look back on the year, and you know, I just kind of think I just got a letter, one of those paper letters from a friend talking about the year, and the first side of the letter, it was all this happy stuff happening, and then it's like the back of the page was all this really sad, tragic things that have happened, and you know, and I still, you know, have deep, you know, sadness for the loss of our brother. You know,
Yeah.
I guess I'm still dealing with it. You know, it's just, you know, you don't think things will happen like that, and when it does happen, you know, it's the quiet, it's the emptiness of it all, and you know, knowing too that, you know, I think his daughter, she's got a lot of anger in her. And, you know, it's just really, really sad, the road that she's going down. And, you know, I just kind of think that, you know, I don't know, but, you know, there are things that are placed upon us that we haven't experienced before. I mean, we haven't, you know, well, we experienced, you know, lost dad, but then, you know, to lose your brother, who's only 58, and he would have been 59 yesterday, was just kind of like, you know, I see a lot of loss. I know I try and look at the fact that, you know, he's in heaven or he's somewhere, you know, watching over us, and he's probably saying to me, Lori, will you knock it off? I'm all right. Leave me alone. You know, I know that, but you know, I just you know, again, it's like it's part of a history. It's part of I was listening to this song today by Blood, Sweat, and Tears. It's I'm not scared of dying, and I, you know, don't really care. But the funny thing about the song is that they talk about because the new child will be born again. And I don't know, I just started thinking to myself, I hope that's not the case, that we get recycled, because I really don't want to go through grade school, or, you know I don't want to have to relearn the alphabet, you know. I mean, unless they give me the zest of life to say, you know, it's like.
It's so funny, Laurie, because you think like, you know, I don't want to go through that experience again, right? But like our experiences, like our trials, our testing, that's the hard, that's the growing, that's the painful, you know, having somebody betray you and having to heal and learn how to love that person again. Those are the like, you know, real hard things where that, you know, that everyone has their challenges, whether it's drug addiction or it's compulsiveness or it's anger or bitterness or, you know, all of those negative feelings that the enemy has, you know, allowed, people attacking us and everything, that you know, to me, that was the hardest for me, is you know, feeling betrayed and feeling like you know, feeling betrayed in the most deepest place is like with your mother.
Yeah.
You know, that was probably the most challenging, hardest thing for me, you know. But you know, I mean, I don't know, just comparing that to like, you know, grade school, which I agree, grade school, you know, it could be hell for a lot of people, but it's for me, it's like when somebody throws up on you And then it's like, what am I supposed to do with this now? You know, you just hit me with this big mess. How am I going to get myself cleaned up to be good again? You know, but, you know, I look around, I see it in everybody. Everybody's got something, like you're saying, Felicia. Honestly, I thank God that she is a strong soul. You know, what she came from, and the way she was raised and, you know, treated or mistreated, you know, she's definitely a survivor, you know, and I hope on some level that she does know, I think on some level she does know God, you know, to be honest with you. But, you know, her story is still being written, you know, so, I mean, I pray for her daily.
Yeah. I mean, I just think of, you know, she's got, you know, although I don't think she believes it, but, you know, she does have a strong family that, you know, would be there for her. It's, I guess, a matter of the asking. And, you know, I just kind of think that, you know, that she's just been lost.
Yeah, well, she's young, you know, and when we're young, we don't always listen.
Yeah.
You know, that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I just kind of remember when she was a little girl and she was sleeping in Harold's car. I think he had a convertible. Somehow I remember it being a convertible. I could be wrong, but she was sleeping there and she was right by the mom had the barn at her house, and she was about 5 years old, and being in the car or whatnot, she was getting all kind of sweaty and sticky and that kind of thing, you know, she's sleeping. And I went up to the car to see her in there thinking, what are you doing? You know, and she could, I'm waiting for my dad. And I said, oh, okay. And she's like, yeah, you know, he's coming out soon. So, you know, I know what I'm doing. You know, I'm waiting for my dad. And you know, I just saw her, you know, this 5-year-old little girl who, yeah, she was really strong, you know, her soul, her personality, you know, she knew what she wanted, and just, she was kind of like, don't treat me like I'm a 5-year-old, you know. And she, you know, the love that she felt for him, you know, I just think that, you know, that spoke volumes, and he reciprocated it from, you know, from what, you know, I could see. And so, you know, I mean, they had a great bond. They truly did. And I just think that for a while too, that Harold was trying to regain that bond with her. And yeah,
He was?
he tried to regain that bond with her.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I mean, the only person he really talked about, what two people he really talked about was his Jessica, his ex-wife, and Felicia. You know, I mean, when I talked to some of his friends who found us when they learned about Harold's passing, is that they wanted to reach out to Felicia, and they didn't know that Harold came from a big family. So that was kind of, you know, sad, that part. And it was like, yeah, sure did, you know. And
did that hurt your feelings, Laurie? Did that hurt your feelings?
A little bit. I wouldn't say a lot, because of the fact that, you know, we did try and reach out to him, and he just didn't want to, you know, he pretty much had his hand out saying, don't get close, you know, symbolically. I don't think he ever really, you know, knew how to connect, especially as an adult. You know, most of the things where I kind of understood him was when he was little. But even then, it was just kind of, you know, I don't really ever think I remember him really expressing his feelings that much. You know, he was either very, very exuberant or, yeah. It's kind of funny when I think about our childhood. Who do I think about? I think about you, you know. I mean, it's almost like I only had one sibling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, with the boat and everything like that. And
Yeah. Yeah, because I kind of feel like Harold's like a distant relative.
mhm.
Like when somebody doesn't want a relationship with you, you drift. And then that's why I don't really have the emotions that you're having,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But
Well, yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of hollowness to it too. You know,
yeah,
yeah, you know, so it's hard to reconcile, you know, what happened last year. I wish I could, you know, rationalize it and say, well, and I did say, well, he's up in heaven with, you know, Dad and Anthony and, you know, all these wonderful people that were in our lives, and Tommy, you know, and then there's something that just seems unresolved. I mean, I kind of feel like I got resolution with Dad, you know, that time when he's sitting there at the table at peace, at, you know, drinking his, having a tray with lemonade on it and all that. And we were sitting there and, you know, didn't feel like we had to be on guard, you know, that we could just,
yeah,
you know, relax. And it was pleasant. It was very, very pleasant, you know, so.
yeah. I'm glad we had that, because I had that too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I had a lot of joy last couple of years with Dad.
Yeah, and you know, I know, you know, he wasn't a, you know, again, another easy person to live with. But something you mentioned in our last episode was the how things pass through generations, you know, that whole thing. And to look at all the Harold Edward Rayfelds, you know, I mean, Harold was the third, you know, just kind of, and actually our grandfather, as you know, was the first Harold. And they had, I just recently saw his wedding license when he got married to Nanny. And it said his job was, he was a decorator. So I thought that was interesting. That was the first time I thought he was a painter. I don't, you know, like painting houses. But I think he was working more with his father at the time. His father's name was Edward. So there you go. So the Edward definitely flowed through 5 generations with Colleen's Edward. So,
Yeah.
So that to me was interesting. I guess I got ancestry.com free for 2 days, so I got to look up a few things and you know,
Yeah.
old documents. But yeah, so anyway, but I'm just still thankful that you know I still have, you know, my core family, Susan, Case, and Ryan, and you, and Ed, and your children, and, you know, Chris and Mom, and, you know, I mean, that they're there. So, you know, just take it one day at a time. But because with like, say, I think with Mom, even with all the, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all that stuff, is that there were a lot of good memories I had as a kid that I don't think I would have had if Mom didn't, you know, come up with these ideas of, well, let's get in a camper and go across the United States, and we're going to stop at all these places. Now, granted, you and I were probably the only ones, and Chris, so Harold and Colleen were probably too young to really understand what it meant to be on the, you know, on a trip like that, where you and I were, you know, more understand, you know, we knew what was going on. We knew that when we went to California, you know, there's a possibility we would see the monkey's car. Hey, we're the monkeys. People say we're monkeying around, which we never saw, but that was our mindset. It's like, oh, Hollywood, so we're going to see the monkeys, maybe Davy, and yeah, of course it was in Las Vegas where I found a dime, and you and I tried to put it in the slot machine. They did not like the idea of a 6 and a 7-year-old putting money in the slot machine. What? Everybody else is doing it.
Hang on, Laura.
What's that?
Hi. Is it
She's
okay? Is it ready?
ready.
Okay, great. What time are you there till? Oh, awesome. All right, great. Thank you. I'll be there.
She'll be there.
Bye. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll see you tonight. Thank you. Bye-bye. I'm sorry that I had to take that. That was my car.
That was your-
That was my car. My car was
Oh,
broke.
okay.
Yeah.
Her car will answer, call her up and tell her when it's ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so for New Year's though, I hope we there are some exciting things happening, like visiting you. Probably I'll wait until you guys get back from the lake, and then I'll visit you so we can go to the ocean. She's like,
Yeah.
well, Lori's like, no, I don't want to go to the lake. As much as I loved it, no, I don't want to go.
I didn't think you liked it. It was like you were like not your usual self. You were out of sorts.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I
Normally you're so engaging, and you were like very isolated. You're like off metal detecting by yourself. You went to bed early. You were just like checked out. I think it was too many people.
I get tired. I'm a lot older than you by what, 10, 11 months? No, 13 months.
Even Ryan was surprised. He's like, yeah, I don't know. She's normally not like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, oh. Yeah, no, I don't want to go to the lake.
Not a fan, huh?
No. I mean, to me, New York in the summer means ocean and sound, especially ocean. It's like if I can go there 2-3 times, that fills my soul. I mean,
Yeah.
hang on, I want to be pummeled again by that wave.
Yeah.
I can yell at the wave as I'm going, crave the wave. But the lake, granted, we were on an island on the lake, a teeny tiny, and I brought my metal detector, and I found the buried treasure. I did. That was fun. And
Was that the highlight of your trip?
no. It was the recycling old cans that apparently the water level went down low, and all of a sudden all the people that have been partying there since like the 1950s and 60s, all of a sudden these bottles and old beer cans, one where you had to use a can opener to open it, were all over the island. So I felt I had a need, an obligation to put them in piles. Not that I did anything with them, I piled them up. And but I loved, I have to say, I loved spending time with Brittany and with Ryan on the jet skis.
Yeah.
Especially Ryan and Ed, because I got to hug them, I got to hold them like this. But then Ryan had to demand that I decide. He goes, I want to see you do the driving, the whole thing. I'm like, no. He goes, yeah, no. So then I start and I get in there, and he's like, okay, we're ready to go. And I gently move the throttle, and all of a sudden we're moving like, and Ryan's looking at me like, when are you going? And I said, I am. He's like, how slow can you go? I said, I think I can go slower. He finally said, Mom, get in the back. Get in the back. I said, are you sure? Nothing but we're saving gas.
So retarded. This is where like mom would roll her eyes and like, you know, what are you doing? I'm like, but she's funny.
And then I get behind Ryan, then I'm like this. I'm like, I can handle it. I can handle it.
It's like you and Bill Pfeiffer going going snorkeling or in the water. And he's like, I got my eye on her. I'm like, wait, paying attention? What?
From Bill, I got into the whole outfit, you know, with the snorkel thing. And I decided, well, you know, I'm gonna do like they did on the TV show Flipper. I'm just gonna go sit on the edge of the boat and go backwards with the mask on, like. And I got halfway when I'm heading into the water, I'm thinking, what if I hit my head on the boat? You know? The worst part, and you weren't there for it, is I was in the water, you know, kind of doing the treading. And Ryan was there and Bill, we were in his boat. And I decided, I said, I want to swim to the shore because it's just right there, you know? So I start swimming and swimming and swimming. I look up and I said, wow, I'm still pretty far. I'm swimming, pretty far. And Bill says to Ryan, watch it. When she gets to the shore, she's going to say, I'm tired. Swim. I had no idea he said that. And then I get to the shore and I look at Bill and Bill's like, come on back. And Ryan's like, come on back. And look, I'm tired. So they had to, I said, can you get me? I said, I didn't realize it was this far. And now I'm being bit on the legs by those horseshoe flies. Those, you know.
Yeah.
What's that?
Horse flies.
Horse flies. This thing, yeah, they were pretty bad. And so I'm there swatting them away, waiting for him. And now Bill has to navigate his boat through all these huge boulders. And I can see him kind of like on the side. So I'm thinking, I'm sorry. And he was so cool about it. Yeah, it was a good thing. He took care of me. I had the tank on under the water in 2 feet of water, and you know, I felt his hand on my back, and I get up like, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, you never know what'll happen in 2 feet of water. But that was on the Long Island Sound, and we were in a part of the beach that really was not much of a beach. It was all shells, which is kind of pretty in a way, but it wasn't like, you know, the sand and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
But that island on the lake, that was fun.
That was fun. Like, I ain't going back.
I didn't have to worry about sharks. It wasn't like when I was a little kid and we were sitting in the restaurant and we were waiting for our food to come, and I was stirring my drink. It was when the movie Jaws came out, and I was stirring my drink, and all of a sudden I go, you were like, what are you doing? And they're like, Laura's being attacked by the shark in her soda.
Yeah, I thought you were funny.
See, children, that's what happens when
We entertained each other.
Day.
Or I should say you entertained me, you know. You were definitely entertaining.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes just hitting a ball against the wall, you know, and then maybe clapping before you catch the ball, and then throwing it, catching it, doing twice. I mean,
Yeah, that's 7-Up. That was a good game.
She was good at it. Donna was good at it. I was good at a few things too, but yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't like jump roping though.
No.
I did. No, I couldn't jump in. You know, the whole thing when they say, you know, they would go, jumping in, and then they'd start doing the thing. That's, I mean, you would do it, you know, that whole thing. And I was like, like, man, I'm gonna be hit by that rope. Yeah. Well, why am I doing this? You know,
Yeah.
but yeah. But those are, yeah, we had a lot of good memories. And then you said to your children, you know, when they were little, I'd come visit, and they'd be like, Aunt Lori, please tell us a story. What was the stories that they like to hear?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then it was seeing the UFO, and when they started making the film, the CAPEL Green, which will be coming out soon, I think. And James was watching one of they did some really wonderful trailers, and James, her son, was watching it and go, oh wow, whoa, Aunt Lori, did you see that? And I'm like, no. I mean, did that happen? No, not for me. Did that happen? Look at that. The thing shot by. Did that happen? No, didn't happen. Well, what happened? I said, well, and yeah, it was, I kind of felt like a scene out of My Cousin Vinny, you know, when he said, well, how many times did it take you to pass the bar? Well, for me, 6 was the term, you know. It's like, well, what kind of cases did you do? I don't know. I'm still working on it. So anyway, yeah.
But you're in the movie. Your name is on the girl's wearing. She's playing you.
Yeah. That was.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, that. Yeah, I can't wait till the film comes out, because yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I think a lot of them were really surprised about the things that I experienced and whatnot. And yeah, so.
Like, based on a true story, Lori now lives in Nevada.
Yeah, but you know, talking about that, I mean, there's so many people that, you know, I get interviewed by, and often, you know, some people will say, well, how come this hasn't ever happened to me, you know? And I'm like, you don't understand. It goes back to when I was a little kid, and I'd be scared to death, you know? I mean, I knew something was bad, and I mean, I couldn't, you know, it's not like, you know, how people can watch those horror movies, you know, and oh yeah, it wasn't that scary. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't put my feet down by the bed because the blob is going to come out. And people are like, that wasn't even a scary movie. I'm like, yeah, well, it tormented me for
For a good 10 years.
yeah, it's like, oh no, I can't.
That was like The Birds for me. The Birds really, that movie did a job on me.
Which one?
The Birds. It gave me a real fear of birds.
Really? No, I was just fearful of the blob. I don't know. I just knew if I was out in the woods, I wouldn't stick my stick in it. But then again, maybe I would. I mean, I did. There was a big yellow jacket, you know, one of those underground beehives, and I stuck a big stick in it. And like Chris was saying, don't do it. And I'm like, oh, come on, you know, let me kill it. And all of a sudden they all came out and chased after me, and you know, and then I was like really upset. I got to sit in between mom and dad. It was on a camping trip when it happened.
Like, what did you do? I just took a big stick and destroyed the like colony.
That's right.
They went after me.
I didn't invite them. Yeah. I don't know. I've always kind of pushed the limits that way, I guess. But yeah, I've just you know, right now, you know, reading a lot of like on Twitter and on Facebook and whatnot. You know, people, you know, have a lot of questions for me, and you know, I kind of want to say that I, like you, you know, our gifts that we have that, you know, we didn't ask for them, you know, and I think it's like a responsibility, you know, that when it happens, you know, I mean, we don't control what's going to happen, but when things happen, we go with it. We were, you know, we're aware of,
Like yielding to it, yielding to the spirit.
yeah,
Right? That's what
yeah,
you said.
yielding to, yeah, the spirit, the Holy Spirit. I mean, I'll even be the first one to say that that's the Holy Spirit talking to you. I think, yeah, when you have an epiphany or something, you know, happens that you finally realize that your heart's opened up to something that it may have been closed to. And but yeah, so let me just do the papers again. Let's see if I have something that makes some sense here. Oh, dokie. Now it'll look good. All right.
You know, you look like Nanny.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. Probably look like also let me see, M. Honey. I had her gesture. That was really, really kind of crazy.
You had her what?
Her gestures. I remember meeting Anne Honey and Nanny. Nanny is back from my grandmother, our grandmother on my father's side, and Anne Honey was my youngest sister. And it's so funny when I hadn't seen her for decades, and I'm sitting there and I'm like talking with my hands like, well, you know, this is going on, blah, 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 you know, and she's like, you know, this is going on, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, oh my God. I said, I am not original.
Does she look like you?
Yeah, there was something about it, but it was mainly through her gestures, you know, it made me realize, wow, you know, and I'm just sitting there going, thinking.
You didn't have any pictures of her, do you?
I did see, I did see some online. There's a picture of her. Yeah, I'll share it. Her first name is Louise, and her last name was, I can't even think of it. Honey's last name. Well, anyway, we are one type family. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know her name. I don't know what you look like.
We know the truth of Anne Honey. She was the product of Uncle Teddy's and Nanny. Yeah, that's the brother of the husband, anyway, that she was married to.
Love putting that out there.
Our family's really cool. Yeah, especially when they moved from New York, that side of the family, they moved from New York to Manitoba, Canada. Now, for those living in Manitoba, Canada, I really respect you. I can totally appreciate that you live there, because from what I've heard, it's really, really freaking cold. And personally, I heard too that you people there, Canadians, hate Italians, at least back then in the 1900s, early 1900s. So they had to change their last name to fit in from the Mezzanatis to Midnight. So on Nanny's birth certificate, which I saw on Ancestry.com, it actually said Alice, which is her real name, Alice Mezzanotti, Alice Midnight. So she went from being a Midnight to, I guess, being Alice Rayfeld, before becoming Alice to the other guy who we can't stand, to the perv. Yeah, there's pervs in our family too. But anyway, yeah, good times. Typical effed up families, but that's the way it is, you know. And
I'd love to hear what other people's families are like. Are they the same?
Probably say, yeah, I'd probably say, oh my God, sounds like my family. But did you know though that the Mezzanottis, again, ancestry.com, and I shouldn't be advertising for them because they're really expensive. They need to lower the price. But I did notice that the Mezzanotti people, they actually came from Austria. They're really not from Italy. So there you go. It's totally confusing.
So they got Italian names, but they're actually, that's why we have no Italian in us, really.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I didn't see any Italian in us.
yeah, that's so far up north. It's like the northern part, and they changed the lines around that area. So, I mean, I've been through Austria. You probably have too. And if you're driving through it, you feel like the soldiers kind of dress a little bit like they got that Nazi soldier thing going, and it's kind of scary. Especially this one guy that was in the car with us, he forgot his passport. He sat there like this, like, they're gonna arrest me. You have your passport? Uh-huh. And I'm like, show me your passport. He's like, but yeah, so anyway. But this confuses because you think you're Italian, Mezzanotti, you think you're Italian, but then you find out that really it's Austria. And it's really kind of, I mean, it would have been easier to be like the Majoris. I mean, they were at least from the Sicilian, Sicily. Now that would have been cool. But especially growing up, around all these, we grew up around quite a few Italian people, Italian families. And yeah, good times. But we did have mafia in our family. You weren't there at that reunion. You should have been there.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, one of Nanny's brothers was a runner for the mafia. He had blonde hair, very, very, he looked very, this was when he was in the casket. He looked really, he was kind of handsome. What?
He looked Austrian?
Yeah. He definitely looked like Hitler would have embraced him, Yeah, but he was a runner for the mafia, and then he took the money and ran away from the mafia. You don't do that. You do not do that. They ended up throwing him into a lake with cement on his feet. That's why I guess we never heard about it when we were kids, because it would have freaked us out to think that somebody murdered our great grandfather, great uncle, that kind of thing. But
yeah,
I guess he needed the money or something. But the only two pictures they had of him at the reunion, the Mezzanotti reunion, was the crime scene, and two in the funeral, in the casket. And I did have the nerve to say, well, do you have any pictures of him, I don't know, like alive? Just, I got to see what he looked like, alive. Like, you're lucky you got these two photos. But they lived in, you knew about this too, right? That they built a house when they moved to Manitoba.
Okay.
And then the house burned down. So they built another house. And in between the building of the houses, they lived in a railroad car because they worked for the railroad. So it didn't have running water or anything, but they at least had a place to, I guess to stay away from the cold elements. And then
so Nanny was the only girl, right? There were like 7 boys and she was the only girl?
No, I think there were other girls in the family. Yeah, she had a lot of, I mean, they lived in a railroad car, so their mom and dad probably had to use each other's body heat, and before you know it, she was popping out all these babies. I think they had like nine children. It could have been like the Osmonds, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. But
Mormons, maybe they were Mormons.
they, yeah. So, yeah, I think she did have a few sisters. Well, and very interesting life. But let me wrap this up with a quote.
Oh, God.
These things have gone really, really well. Hot off the press here.
I love it when you're like this, Law. Yeah, no good. No good. No, not that one either.
Oh, one last thing. Did you watch that Nicole Kidman in she played Lucy from I Love Lucy?
Is it out?
Ricardo's.
Yeah, is it out?
I think it's in
Netflix?
oh no, not Netflix. It's one of the other
Hulu or HBO?
yeah, or Amazon, one of those or
I'll have to look. Was it good?
Apple Plus. Yeah, it's hard to keep up with those channels. But yeah, I thought she did a really good job.
Did she portray Lucy as a good person?
As a genius, actually. Yeah. And it was more or less, it was during like they did like through one episode. You have to understand, everybody. I Love Lucy was a very important part of our childhood. Yes, especially the scenes when she's dancing in the grapes, you know,
Or eating the chocolates?
eating
That
it,
was my favorite.
eat it up. And but yeah, she had really good her physical her timing, everything all about the physical timing, and yeah, and the
Be the Vegemin.
vitamin. And it tastes good too. But after the six,
Tastes just like candy.
and at the very end, it's like vitamin, just like candy. Yeah.
Awesome.
And anyway, it was good. Yeah,
That was hysterical.
he was amazing. That was a big part of, we saw all the reruns. It was either that or we were watching the Flintstones. I mean, you know, we saw it all. And but here it is. This is Maya Angelou. Okay.
Yeah, Angelo?
No, it's not Angelo. It's Angelou, I think. Maya Angelou. She's famous. Okay.
Oh, it's a person.
Everyone else will nod. Yeah, the guy. I know who you're talking about. You got it. You got it. And she, anyway, it's short. She wrote, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty."
Now, if you would have started with that at the beginning of this show, we could have talked the entire show about that. That was our next show has to be that. That's a really good one.
Okay, we'll have to.
Okay.
Mental,
that is so true and biblical.
and then eventually we'll get a couple of other. We'll start inviting guests. But let me try another one on you. Here's another one from Einstein. Since I know you really like Einstein. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. One cannot help but be in awe when she contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. That's Albert Einstein.
That's what got you in trouble all those years.
What's that?
You and your curiosity is what got you. Oh, geez. Is it hot? How hot could it be? Donna, you want to put your hands on? Oh, yeah, it's really hot.
Okay. Okay. Let me see what this one is. Oh, this was kind of cool. I like this one. There are only 2 days in a year that nothing can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. So today is the right day to love, believe, and do, mostly live.
Okay.
And on that note, we shall, so on that note, we shall end it. And I love you, Don.
Mwah.
Mwah, mwah.
All right, till next time.
All right.
Bye.